back. We kick off with the ongoing Super Rugby season that the Sharks continue to boast, having won all but one of their 6 fixtures. And I should say Jake White's legend keeps growing. I mean, last weekend he did show that he has the Midas touch, isn't it? Getting one up on the Waratahs, but the tactics, you know, he pulled off a master stroke, you know, denying the Waratahs outside men the ball.
Yeah, of course, and Sharks to me have been really the season favorites so far. You look at them, they're contenders, and in Jake White, they have a very good coach who is very tactical. We've seen him do this for South Africa time and time again, so it didn't really come as a surprise.
Okay.
There, yeah.
I think for me they've had the easy end of the stick.
Yeah.
5 of their games have been at home. What do you expect?
And they lost the first one
They
away
lost
from home.
the first one away from home. Waratahs are flying miles to come and play without their best player. And they're thinking, you know, away games, just get a bonus point. So they're not as motivated to win such games.
Losing
because, yes, there's injuries, there's a lot of player management along those trips to say what games do you pick to win and lose. But the Sharks couldn't score tries. I mean, they scored a try.
Yeah.
Same as the Waratahs, and all they did is kick, which is again to Jake White's tactical, which is what you bring out. Yeah. Just win the game. I don't care how you win it, win it.
The game.
And the Sharks are doing that, and of course it does count towards the end as teams wear out. If you've already got some wins under your belt, you're guaranteed the semi-final. And I think Jake White, John Smith will be looking at the commercial end of those things to say, how do we get a final or a semi-final at the Shark Tank? Because that's where revenue is coming.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Philip, your side, the Bulls, they let go of a double-digit lead, didn't they? With 3 minutes left on the clock against the Chiefs last weekend. But it was a thrilling match, wasn't it?
Before David laughs at me there, I don't want to agree that they let it go. I actually think Bulls were lucky. Yeah. You've come off a win against Sharks. You're playing the defending champions. And also, the first half score flattered the Bulls, the 15-14. Yeah. Bulls hardly did anything in the first half. Yeah. It was actually a surprise that they took that lead in the second half, 2 tries, one being a penalty try, and it was just a matter of if they could hold on to it or not. But based on first half and how Muliaina was playing there, I didn't see it lasting, really. Yeah.
Interesting. Time for your Twitter responses that you've sent through using the Ruck and Roll hashtag. And I will start off with a gentleman here who contributes, you know, on a regular basis, Benjamin Mugabe, and he asks, you know, about the fate of the University 15s League.
Do we have enough to speak on it? I think it's work in progress. Yeah. I think the union is talking to NUSFU. Is that what it's called? Yeah. The National Union, that university union. Yeah. And there have been some concerns around the commercial, how do we do it, who does what. So once those are sorted out, I think the league is. And I think
before they even had an issue with the universities having different calendar years. Some were available, some were not. Because about 2 years ago, it was running under Western Union, and it was a major issue. Some universities would be off season when others are on. Okay. But they are still trying to streamline it. It's something they still want to run.
Okay. Okay, and in a pretty lengthy dispatch, Thomas Gidudu here asks how the union can promote the game from well beyond the confines of Kampala.
Union, I'm sure, is trying to do that in many ways. If you look at their strategic plan, they're involving leave alone nationwide league. There is the regional leagues, which are actually taking place. And some of these people have taken up, you look at Mbale, it's a case example, they took up the structure and are building good club structures out of that. And you look at Mbarara, I know there is what's his name there? Bobby Biangambwa. Yeah. He says he's been in touch with Union. Of course, last year he was struggling to get support, but they seem to be pushing him to also do a lot there. I think generally they are trying to push it regional. Yeah.
And the importance of sort of expanding, you know, the reach of the game. It cannot be understated.
It can't be understated. I think for me, and the dream is, I mean, how do you get 40,000 people to sit in a rugby stadium and watch a game, an international game, featuring the Cranes? And that cannot happen if the player, the playing area remains Kampala, and the player base and the fan base remains the same. So in the long term, it is absolutely the key plan for rugby. There is no two ways about it. Maybe you might want to invite the president here to give us, to hear it from the horse's mouth
of what they think.
Yes.
Okay, we end the show today by picking the mind of Hellen Gizamba. Once upon a time, she was predisposed to volleyball, but after being beaten by the rugby bug, Gizamba is not about to let go of the oval ball. She's been telling us about how the sky will be the limit for the Lady Cranes at the forthcoming Car Sevens in Kenya.
I'm one person who will decide to come and hit you and drive you 10 meters ahead. But look at me, I don't have scars. But I pray for my country. I train so hard. I started playing rugby way back in school, though I was in my senior 4 vacation. So initially I was a volleyball player. So as I was passing by the clubhouse of Lugogo, indoor stadium, I watched the game on TV. So I was like, I think I can play this game, I can handle. It was not easy, because the time I joined, they had a tournament, and it was a competitive tournament. So with me, when I joined, they would hammer me, regardless, because everyone wanted a number. They couldn't mind about the amateur or what. But to me, I was like, much as they're going to be hitting me all the time, I'll have to come back and pay back. To me, my mission was pay back. But beyond that, I realized it's not all about paying back. It's all about having the love for the game and playing for the country as well. I don't think I would have quickly gotten onto a plane going to different countries if I wasn't playing rugby. But the fact that I started playing rugby, I got the exposure. I know how to associate with people, because you find people of different characters, different habits. So you have to adjust, because rugby is not all about beef. It also has discipline. So it teaches me a lot of discipline to learn from others, and others can also learn from me. And playing for the Lady Cranes, it is so great. Like maybe one time when I'm old and I tell my grandkids I used to play for Uganda, putting on that national jersey for my country, it's very important. Professionally, I'm a counselor, a health counselor. And when someone comes and I tell them I do play rugby, they don't really see that associating. But rugby is all about the heart. If you don't have the heart, you can't handle. Even if you're a guy and you don't have the heart, you'll never handle. However much you go to the gym and bang metals, if you don't have the heart, you can't manage. But for me as a lady, it puts me on another level. Being different from other women who maybe play table tennis, volleyball and what, I feel empowered. I feel I'm like, okay, I can play a contact game, I can handle the pain. It really encourages me a lot to do other things which are more than rugby. Yeah, we are so much prepared, because we've been having games every Saturday. Because since it's a one-day tournament, we'll have like 5 games. So every Saturday here at Chadonda, we've been having like 5 to 6 games for the coach at least to assess and see who are the players who can really take on. If someone can play 5 games, that means we can handle. We'll handle the one-day tournament. Because psychologically we are ready. Physically we are ready, and we are conditioned for whatsoever will come across our way.
Guys, women's rugby is just a decade old in Uganda. It represents a huge coup if they manage to take up a player, from volleyball, which has been played for decades, hasn't it? More than a decade.
Absolutely. I think it's a big one. And the player of Hellen Gizamba, I'm one of her fans. I think she plays really, really wonderfully. So for a game that's 10 years old to be attracting players from volleyball and hopefully some from soccer and athletics, I think it's definitely on the up and up.
Okay. And that time I was asking you about some of the new players who have sort of popped out of nowhere, and she's one of them. She just started playing 4 years back.
Yeah, true. She's just started playing 4 years back. And when you look at the ladies team, generally, it's just painful that they've not had that much support. But with the passion they have, they've never failed to go into a tournament they want to go to. And somehow they've built these new old and young faces around themselves and built a unit that is well, I don't know what word I can use. The motivation around it, they can't be stopped in their tracks. And like Helen says, even mentally, physically, they are ready for the next tournament. But when you look at where they've come from to get to that level, I think it's a tremendous effort from them.
Okay. And David, you've handled the ladies' 7 side before. How do you rate their chances going into this CAR tournament in Machakos?
I think their chances are good. Coach Kinene has done a good job. He's had the time. Their preparation didn't start off as well, but they started off in good time. They've got their funding, they are motivated. I think their biggest competition will be Kenya and South Africa. So if they can get past Kenya, which I think they should,
be able to.
It's really to maintain the place just next to South Africa, because South Africa is still a gulf apart. So it's just really closing that gulf and inching up on that slowly by slowly. It will be a step backwards if they lose to Kenya, because as you know, the last 10 years, the ladies team has really set the bar quite high. And a team like that to remain motivated takes guts, and it takes about their passion. So they are really motivated to keep that and be the number 2 as long as they, eventually take over South Africa. So I think their chances are good. I don't see Tunisia and Kenya their biggest threats, but I think they'll cope.
And Robert, record aside, you just needed to mention he took them to the World Cup.
And very briefly, guys, what's at stake in this tournament?
At stake, I think it's the rankings, first and foremost. There's an opportunity, of course, in the IRB Women's Series, and you want to be on the minds of the IRB in terms of who is invited next as the next candidate to play in that World Series. So a lot is at stake. There's a development week before they play the tournament.
So you say the next Africa's representative?
Yes, I think that opportunity, I don't know how far it is, but it is something that's definitely...
They're taking on one team, so the one that finishes top will represent Africa.
To say how do you get that, and even if you don't finish top, how well do you represent yourself to make sure you get an invitation maybe for one of the legs closer to Africa. So it's a lot at stake.
And the top 4 finish will also it will guarantee them a crack at playing in the CAR 7s again, but also that the CAR 7s will double as an Olympic qualifier.
Yes, like the last time I think it also doubled as a World Cup qualifier, and the one Kenyan went through and just lost it to South Africa. Unfortunately, a game that was played in South Africa, one leg. But being in Machakos here, Kenya, we hope they'll do better and stay in contention there.
Okay. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that, guys. Thank you for watching Rock and Roll. From the 3 of us, it's good day and goodbye.